Have you ever wondered why you sometimes say yes when everything inside you screams no? Why you remain silent while a storm rages within? Why you trust only to regret it later? This isn't weakness, it's a signal. And you follow them, believing you chose the path yourself. The world rarely tells you outright that you're a pawn. Its methods are far more refined. It smiles, it persuades, it whispers ideas into your ear that feel like your own. Real influence doesn't need to shout. It only needs you to believe it was your choice. History has seen such manipulators. Consider Clemens Metternich, the French political tactician of King Louis XVIII's era. He held no formal power, yet swayed royal decisions through trust, carefully chosen words, and subtle narratives. He never gave orders, he orchestrated. Even monarchs listened, thinking they were thinking for themselves. The same happens today. Most people are convinced they think freely, but in truth, they're conditioned. Family, upbringing, fear, guilt, the desire for acceptance, all become levers that someone else can pull. And if you don't know where your levers are, rest assured, someone does. It all starts with observation. A skilled manipulator listens first. They notice when you smile automatically, when criticism makes you tense, when you crave approval. They don't rush. They patiently map the cracks in your emotional foundation. Then comes the game. Not a direct one, but an elegant one. They create an atmosphere, approval, care, subtle flirtation or sympathy. You feel seen, understood. That's the trap. It's not kindness, it's calculation. The more open you become, the closer they get to your center. One of their favorite tools is instilling a sense of obligation. They'll say things like, "I've always been there for you. You're the only one I can trust. I can't do this without you." And now, you're no longer living from freedom, but from duty. You're not choosing, you owe. Another tactic is quiet fear. If you leave, you'll be alone. You'll never find someone like me. These aren't threats, they're suggestions. And if the fear of abandonment already lives within you, the manipulator doesn't have to build a prison. You'll lock yourself in. Look at Marilyn Monroe. Her fame was only one side of the coin. Behind the scenes, powerful men steered her career, crafting the illusion of choice. Her femininity, her voice, everything was curated, polished, exploited. She was the product, not the author of her fate. The most sophisticated form of control is the one that doesn't feel like control, where you comply willingly, believing it was your own doing. And when everything collapses, you blame yourself, not the one who engineered it all. How many times have you done something you didn't want to, just to avoid upsetting someone, being misunderstood, or ending up alone? How many times have you said yes while every fiber of your being whispered no? That's not courtesy. That's the residue of deep influence that began long before that moment. They can begin to control you. The world doesn't need violence to rule you. It only needs your emotional scripts. As long as you don't see them, you live by them. You are not weak. You're simply exposed where you should have been impenetrable. A manipulator doesn't choose their victim randomly. They choose someone already prepared, by life, by childhood, by the past. Each of us carries small fractures. Some grew up craving approval because their parents' love depended on being good. Others are crushed by guilt every time they put themselves first. And some fear loneliness so deeply that they accept any relationship just to avoid being alone with themselves. These fractures are entry points, and that's exactly where a manipulator slips in, like water through a crack. They don't break you, they listen. They instinctively find the part of you that you won't even admit to yourself. Take Salvador Dali, for example, a genius no doubt. But behind his flamboyant brilliance lay a deep vulnerability, the fear of being overlooked, unrecognized. This wasn't a partnership of equals, it was a performance, where one side wrote the script. Some of us live with an endless need to please. We were taught that being loved means being agreeable, that love must be earned. So we go through life offering ourselves in exchange for attention. And anyone who can see that can use it. Just a drop of validation, and you're already surrendering. Others carry guilt like a silent burden. They say yes when they want to say no, because they fear being selfish. They were taught that being good means being selfless, that others' needs come before their own. Then there are those who fear being left behind. They cling, even when it hurts. They'd rather suffer than face emptiness. Manipulators use a different tactic here. First, they offer the illusion of safety, then threaten to take it away. Without me, you're nothing. And the person believes it, because that fear whispered the same thing long before the manipulator ever arrived. Even genius couldn't free him from emotional dependence. Here's what you need to understand. Manipulation works not because the other is stronger, but because you are not whole. You can only be pulled by strings if those strings are left hanging. Your weaknesses are not shameful, but they demand a clear, honest look. Machiavelli understood this. He wrote, "The nature of the people is variable. It is easy to persuade them, but difficult to keep them persuaded." What did he mean? The manipulator doesn't convince with logic. They fill your gaps. And if you don't know where those gaps are, they'll find them before you do. There is a way out, but it doesn't begin with others. It begins with you. As long as you don't face your wounds, you will continue to call dependence love, friendship, or respect. You want to be free, but are you ready to let go of the illusions your life is built on? But when the moment comes to say no to someone close, to end a toxic connection, or to step out of the savior role, most hands begin to tremble. Why? Because freedom comes with a price. The courage to live without the crutches of guilt, fear, or emotional dependency. Freedom demands emotional armor, not walls, not coldness, but clarity. To stop being part of someone else's game doesn't mean becoming heartless. It means learning to distinguish where empathy turns into control, where kindness becomes an excuse for exploitation, where your sensitivity is turned against you. The first step is observation, not of others, but of yourself. In what moments do you give in? When do you fold, even though you're sure you're right? What makes you change your mind? This isn't about logic, it's about emotional triggers.